Hello students, welcome to the EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Vandana Dave from Women's Studies Research Center, Kurukshetra University. Today, I am going to talk about module Social Reformers and Thinkers in India on the women's question Bhakti cult and women, Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule, Swami Dayanand, ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर, महात्मा गांधी, B.R. Ambedkar, Bhagat Phool Singh. From paper Feminism and Women's Movements, the learning objectives of the module are to familiarize the reader with the efforts of social reformers in India to raise the status of women in the traditional society. Social reform in India aimed to bring changes in the social, economic, and political status of women. Even in the ancient period, women's status was not at par with men. There is enough evidence to show that women of the upper caste did not have access to the public domain by the early centuries of the Christian era, and that Manu and other lawgivers recommended early marriage for girls. Sati itself was associated with women of the ruling classes. The structure of institutions that ensured the subordination of women was complete in all essentials long before the Muslims as a religious community had come into being. In the 19th century, some reformers took it upon themselves the task of altering the situation of women by curbing the evil practices of widow immolation, child marriage, restriction on widow remarriage, polygamy, etc. These reformers were mostly men. Some of them were religious reformers and others were social reformers. These reformers affected many aspects of human relations and existential realities, the most important of them being gender relations and the condition of women. Even men in these times lacked opportunities for liberation. They were bound by religion, old traditions, and fruitless political theories. At this point of time, some enlightened personalities came forward for the cause of social change and carried on their struggles for reform with courage, and most important is they succeeded in their efforts. In fact, the beginning of religio-cultural reform movements had been made by Shankaracharya and Ramanuja from 18th century, and afterwards the Bhakti movement of 13th century, which helped women in a way when their lives were miserable. This path of bhakti provided an opportunity to women to find solace by coming out of their wretched existence. Bhakti cult and women. The Bhakti movement started in the country in the 30th century, which was one of the radical socio-religious movements challenging the caste system and claiming for a world of love and selfishness. In the medieval period, after the Muslim invasion, the priestly class of Brahmins promoted the supremacy of Vedas, and in the form of religious defense, they perpetuated social oppression of the lower castes and women and the hegemony of the Brahmins. The excessive ritualism and rigid taboos on women and the lower caste members gave birth to the Bhakti movement. Bhakti means intense love, devotion, and dedication to God. The Bhaktas were described as saint poets, medieval mystics, religious revolutionaries, mystic poets, and they prevailed all around the country at the same period. Kabir, Ravidas, Surdas, Nanak, Dadu were the Bhakt poets of north, while Chaitanya, Chandidas were in the east, Ramanuja, Alvars in the south, and Namdev, Eknath, Tukaram, Meera, Bahinabai were the poets of the west. The Bhakti poets composed their lyrics in their regional languages, deliberately breaking the religious hold of Sanskrit. The most worshipped deities of the time were Lord Shiva and Vishnu, or Shri Krishna, known as Shaivism and Vaishnavism. The path of devotion saw up no barriers of caste and sex. The women poets of the Bhakti movement did not have to seek the institutionalized spaces religion provided to express themselves, and their poetry moved from the court and the temple to the open spaces of the field, the workplace, and the common woman's heart. The Bhakti movement helped women in two ways. Firstly, the Brahmins were exploiting women, knowing that they were ignorant and superstitious. Bhakti movement minimized this humiliation of women by Brahmins through direct devotion to God, and they asked God's forgiveness directly. Secondly, the women devotees could pray God at all times. There was no need to pay to Brahmin heavily for performing rituals or to go to pilgrimages or follow various taboos of purity. A surprising number of the Bhakti poets were women. Like the Bhaktas, the women saints were also widely spread in all corners of the country. Dayabai and Sahojabai, Dadu's daughters, Nanibai and Matabai in the north, Meera in Rajasthan, Muktabai, Janabai, Kanhopatra and Bahinabai in Maharashtra, Gangabai, Gauribai and Ramabai in Gujarat convincingly confirm the all India character of the movement. Description of some of women Bhakti saint poets. Mirabai. She was a great devotee of Lord Krishna and a disciple of low caste Guru Ravidas. After her husband's death, she left home and became a wandering minstrel, singing and dancing in praise of the Almighty. Andal. She was a 10th century Tamil saint and the only woman Alvar or saint of Vaishnavism. At the age of 15, when her father tried to get her married, she insisted that she would marry only the Lord at Sri Rangam. She composed two books, Thiruvapavi and Nachiyar Tirumoji. Akka Mahadevi. Akka Mahadevi was a saint poet of 12th century in Karnataka. She accepted God Shiva as her mystical husband, refused to wear any clothing, and wandered in search of her divine lover. Her poetry reflected her frustration with societal norms and roles that restricted her. Janabai. As a young girl, she was sent to work in the upper caste family of Namdev, one of the Bhakti poet saints. Janabai wrote over 300 poems focusing on domestic chores and the restrictions faced by her being a low caste woman. Lal Ded. Laleshwari or Lal Ded was a child bride, married at the age of 12. She left home at 24 to take sannyas and became a disciple of Shaivite Guru Siddha Shrikantha. She became a sadhvi, a wandering ascetic, singing of her bliss and love for the divine. Bahinabai. She was a female saint from Maharashtra. Unlike most female saints who never married or renounced their marital life for God, Bahinabai remained married her entire life as a pativrata, following duties of a woman. The impact of the Bhakti movement on women's life may be examined from two different perspectives: that how the movement affected ordinary women and the impact of the women saints on society. By opening the gates of religion for women, the saints in principle approved of achieving moksha without subserving to the husband or the priest. The sanctity given to the householder's life also indirectly raised the status of women. Another indirect impact comes from the form of worship, as women were also permitted to listen to and participate in kirtans. The rigidities of the home-centered life might have slackened. Social reformers. However, Bhakti movement helped women in a way to improve their lives, but polygamy, child marriages, lack of education for women, sati, and female infanticide were on an increase even during the British period. At this time, some personalities acted as social reformers by standing against the religious orthodoxy and became the pioneers of change in the social system where women were marginalized and denied of their rights. Some of the social reformers are Jyotirao Phule and Savitribai Phule. Mahatma Jyotirao Govindarao Phule, known as Mahatma Jyotirao Phule, and his wife Savitribai Phule were the pioneers of women's education in India. This period may be described as the dawn of revolution in the history not only of Maharashtra but of the country as a whole in the various fields like education, caste system, agriculture, economics, women and widow upliftment, human rights, untouchability, and social equality. He is most known for his efforts to educate women and the lower caste as well as the masses, for his fight to attain equal rights for peasants and the lower caste, and his contribution to the field of education. He is regarded as one of the most important figures of the social reform movement in Maharashtra. He was married with Savitribai at the age of 12. Being insulted by family members of his Brahmin friend, Jyotiba's life took a turn and he developed sensitivity towards the social inequalities between the higher and the lower castes. Social activism. Phule believed that education of women and the lower caste should be promoted to create a new social system. Hence, he began it from home by educating his wife Savitribai and opened a girls' school in 1848. Due to pressure from different groups, Both of them were forced to leave home since they refused to give up their noble endeavor. Savitribai taught in this school and had to suffer a lot because of the hostility of the Orthodox people. He opened two more schools for girls during 1851 to 52. He initiated widow remarriage and started a home for upper caste widows in 1854 and a home for newborn infants to prevent female infanticide. He gave protection to pregnant widows who were left on streets and assured them care for their children. He established an orphanage, possibly the first such institution founded by a Hindu. Phule tried to eliminate the stigma of social untouchability and formed the Satya Shodhak Samaj, a society of seekers of truth, on 24th September 1873, a group whose main aim was to liberate the Shudra and untouchable caste from exploitation and oppression. His book Sarvajanik Dharma Pustak, published in 1891, described that both men and women were entitled to enjoy equal rights, and it was a sin to discriminate between human beings on the basis of sex. He firmly believed that if you want to create a new social system based on freedom, equality, brotherhood, human dignity, economic justice, and value, devoid of exploitation, you will have to overthrow the old, unequal, and exploitative social system and the values on which it is based. He was bestowed with the unique title of Mahatma by a great social reformer of Mumbai, Rao Bahadur Vittal Rao Krishnaji Vandeka, on May 1888 for fighting for the rights of the Bahujans. Savitribai Phule. Savitribai was the first female teacher of the first women's school in India and also considered as the pioneer of modern Marathi poetry. In 1852, she opened a school for untouchable girls. She worked as an equal partner with her husband in the mission of uplifting the poor and oppressed people. The young couple faced several opposition from almost all sections. Savitribai was subjected to intense harassment every day as she walked to the school. Stones, mud, and dirt were thrown at her as she passed, but Savitribai Phule faced everything peacefully and with courageously. She was the first Dalit woman, in fact, first women whose poems got noticed in the British Empire. Savitribai was the mother of modern poetry, stressing necessity of English and education through her poems. She, with her husband, organized a successful barbers' strike in Mumbai and Pune against the prevailing practice of shaving of widows' heads. During the 1876 to 1898 famines, Savitribai Phule worked courageously with her husband. She died while she was nursing a plague-affected child. Swami Dayanand Saraswati. The process of intellectual revival and social regeneration took place in the 19th century with the advent of Swami Dayanand Saraswati, who rebuilt the entire nation and Hindu society in a new way. He saw the degraded and debased condition of Hindus in India and proved that in the Vedas there was no such thing as untouchability and wanted that Vedas should be within the reach of all. Founder of Arya Samaj in 1875, he occupies a unique position in the history of socio-religious and political development of modern India. The Arya Samaj was based on the principle that God is omnipotent and we should follow the path of truth and dharma, prohibited inequality of sexes, and postulated a Varna system on the basis of qualities and actions. Men and women were given the option to enter any ashram. Arya Samaj helped women's upliftment through reform of Hindu religion. The contribution of Swami Dayanand can be understood in three ways. Untouchability. He was the first person to decree equal rights for all. The rights he included were right to education, right to reciting Vedic mantras, right for marriage, right to interdining, etc. Second one is caste system. He said that no one is Brahmin, Vaishya, Kshatriya or Shudra by birth, but by choosing the profession. And each of these sects are complementary to each other. None is superior or inferior to one another. Third one is equality of women. During Vedic period, women were not allowed to study Vedas. Women suffered from many ill practices like child marriage, denial of education, sati practices, etc. Swamiji and his followers opposed the most barbaric sati pratha amongst Hindus and propagated against child marriage and brought about widows' remarriages amongst the Hindus. He spread education to all, irrespective of one being a boy or a girl, or being a Brahmin or of other caste. As a result of his efforts, several Kanya Pathshalas were built to educate women with the aim to give them equal rights and to improve their status in the Hindu society. In 1896, for the first time in India, a Kanya Mahavidyalaya was opened for all married, unmarried, or widowed women. Arya Samaj, through the teachings and principles of Swami Dayanand, improved their social rights, right to educate themselves, right to read Vedas, remarriage, equal rights at par with men, abolition of dowry system, equal opportunity to select their partners. Without his movement, Indian women could never have attained their emancipation and equality. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. In the 19th century, social reform in Bengal was initiated by the social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who on the one hand succeeded to protect women from widow burning, and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who on the other hand did commendable efforts to start widow remarriage. Sanskrit College conferred on Ishwar Chandra the title Vidyasagar, which means ocean of knowledge, due to his excellent performance in Sanskrit studies and philosophy. Widow remarriage. He sought to transform orthodox Hindu society from within. In Bengal, widow remarriage was strictly forbidden among the upper caste and most of the middle ranking castes in the 19th century. The prevailing deplorable custom of Kuleen Brahmin polygamy allowed elderly men, sometimes on their deathbeds, to marry teenage or even prepubescent girls. After such marriages, they might be cruelly subjected to orthodox rituals, especially if they were subsequently widowed. These included a semi-starvation, hard domestic labor, and close restriction on their freedom to leave the house or be seen by strangers. Unable to tolerate the ill treatment, many of these girls would run away and turn to prostitutes to support themselves. In 1853, it was established that Calcutta had a population of 12,718 prostitutes. Vidyasagar took the initiative in proposing and pushing the Widow Remarriage Act 15 of 1856 in India. In 1856, he performed the first widow remarriage. He also strove to enhance the marriageable age. Condemning the system of polygamy, he advocated that this system was not sanctioned by Hindu Shastras. Women education. Believing that only education can change the thoughts of the society, he started educational reform. He wanted to spread the importance of education to the villagers, especially the rural women. Established many model girls' schools by spending his own money. In 1849, he started Hindu Female School. He had written many textbooks in Bengali to enrich the Bengali education system. It can be said that he was of the view to make social reform through the educational reform. Mahatma Gandhi. Supporting the equality between men and women, Mahatma Gandhi condemned various social evils affecting Indian women. He said, as long as men and women do not have equal rights and women are treated as unequal at birth, it is tantamount to half of the country being emasculated. Suppressing women is nothing but something the principle of ahimsa. He won't compromise on the question of women. Mahatma Gandhi felt pained and anguished that man-made laws, customs and convention and dharma shastras were oppressing women. Gandhi endeavored till the end of his life for liberation of women from tradition, superstition, ignorance and lack of education. Child marriage. Gandhi denounced the custom of child marriage, which he considered as an immoral and inhuman act. Repudiating the claim that child marriage had a religious sanction, Gandhi argued Smritis, which enjoined early marriages, do not depict the true essence of Hinduism. He criticized the ill-matched union of delicate young girls with much older men. He pleaded for raising the age of marriage. Widow remarriage. Gandhi contended that custom prohibiting remarriage of child widows was particularly senseless and cruel and ought to be abolished. To do justice to the child widows, he advocated that these should also be given equal opportunity to find mates. He called upon educated young men to marry girl widow. Sati Pratha. Gandhi considered Sati Pratha having its origin in superstitions and blind egotism, barbarous in the present age. He believed that self-immolation on the pyre of the husband was a sign not of enlightenment but of gross ignorance. He suggested women to prove their satihood not by mounting the funeral pyre but by renunciation, sacrifice, self-abnegation and dedication to the service of her husband his family, and the country. Dowry system. Gandhi condemned dowry as a cruel and abhorrent practice. This system was nothing but a marriage by purchase. He appealed young men to take active steps to do away with this evil. He believed that education can play a positive role to change this condition. Parda system. Attacking the constructing system of Parda, Gandhi believed that it not only denied the freedom to women, it hindered their advancement and their capacity for doing useful work for society. He felt much pained to find its existence even in educated families, and women lacked courage to revolt against this evil. Prostitution and Devadasi system. Protested against prostitution, which he termed as a moral leprosy, but not against the prostitutes, who were to be pitied and helped to regain their virtue, rather than hated and condemned to lead a life of sin. He advised these women to sacrifice their life for the service of the nation. He also criticized the custom of dedicating young girls to temples as Devadasi, which were used for immoral purposes. Gandhi regarded men and women spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and psychologically equal, and advocated the need of education for girls so that they could exercise their rights and achieve equality with men. Swaraj would be possible when women stood side by side with men in the battle of freedom. Gandhi appealed women to take part in the non-violent satyagraha, not because women were weak, but because they had greater courage and spirit of self-sacrifice. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar strove for the rights of women and Dalits. He believed that endogamy was responsible for pollution or untouchability in the society. In order to perpetuate endogamy and the caste system, the practices of sati, enforced widowhood, enforced celibacy, and the marriage of child brides with older men and widowers were practiced. These practices were exploitative for women. It was only through the regulation and control on women's sexuality that the closed character of the caste can be maintained, and in this sense, women were the gateways of the caste system. He believed that caste system was hierarchically organized, and the relations between the different strata in this hierarchy were organized on the principle of inequality and difference. To eliminate the caste system, he made aware the Dalit women about the bondage of caste and motivated them to play a crucial role to fight against the exploitation of caste system. Through his book, The Rise and Fall of Hindu Women, analyzed the culture, text, and religious thoughts of Brahmanical culture due to which women had been subordinated. He set up an organization called Organization for Welfare of the Excommunicated, Bahishkrata Hitkarini Sabha. Ambedkar rejected the law of Manu with the understanding that it had perpetuated injustice to Dalit and Shudras. He said that Manu reduced the status of a woman to a slave and commodity who was always under the control of a man. Dr. Ambedkar drafted the Hindu Code Bill. The bill, in a sense, marked the end of the law of Manu and brought forth a text that had possibilities for the liberation of women. He advocated the law of monogamy for both men and women, and share of property for daughters also, the right to divorce for women. He suggested that women should form independent organizations and come forward for their social progress. To end the subordination of women, caste system and patriarchy both would have to be attacked. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly, and the constitution was the result of his intellectual, liberal, and noble ideas. He followed the Buddhist philosophy, which was based on fraternity, compassion, and equality, and a non-Brahminical tradition giving women freedom and access to knowledge. Thus, as an architect of the Indian Constitution, he granted to women the basic rights to justice, equality, liberty, and security. Bhagat Phool Singh. Bhagat Phool Singh used to be a patwari of his village. Under the influence of Swami Shraddhanand, he gave back the bribe money he had taken from his client farmers and sold his own village land also. After this incident, he was called Bhagat Phool Singh from Chaudhary Phool Singh. Swami Shraddhanand motivated him to work in the field of education. With the monetary help from the village panchayats, he opened 2 gurukuls, one for boys and one for girls. In 1936, when Bhagat Phool Singh established this Kanya Gurukul, considering educated women as a pillar of social growth, there were only 3 girls in the Gurukul. Bhagat Phool Singh was assassinated on August 14, 1942. Bhagat Phool Singh Women University is the manifestation of the dream seen by this social reformer. It is the first women state university of northern India which is providing affordable education to rural women. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. Social reform in India aimed to bring changes in the social, economic and political status of women. The beginning of religio-cultural reform movements had been made by Shankaracharya and Ramanuja from the 18th century. Afterwards, the Bhakti movement of 13th century helped women to find solace by coming out of their existence. Some of the important women Bhakti saint poets were Mirabai, Andal, Akka Mahadevi, Janabai, Lal Ded, Bahinabai. Some of the social reformers of 19th century were Jyotiba Phule and his wife Savitribai Phule, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Mahatma Gandhi, Ambedkar, and Bhagat Phool Singh. They fought against the practice of sati, polygamy, child marriage, education for women, female infanticide, widow remarriage, caste system, and gender equality. Thank you.